If you don't know your fallacies, you won't pass your class, and you will end up broke and homeless. So, what is a fallacy, and why are they important to know? So, a fallacy, they are common errors in reasoning that will undermine the logic of your argument. They could either be illegitimate arguments or irrelevant points, and they're often identified because they lack evidence that supports their claim. And the reason why it's important to know that is because if people didn't know what fallacies were, they could say statements like this. Penguins are penguins are black and white. Some old TV shows are black and white. Therefore, some penguins are old TV shows. That's just a completely ridiculous statement, but once you learn more about fallacies, you'll realize how people are able to pick apart that statement to prove that it's wrong. So the first fallacy would be the slippery slope fallacy, which, if we go back to the first statement I said, that would be considered a slippery slope fallacy. It is a conclusion based on the premise that if A happens, then eventually through a series of small steps, through B, C, X, Y, Z, will happen too, basically equating A to Z. So if we don't want Z to occur, A must not be allowed to occur either. So an example would be, school is killing us. Textbooks are made from paper. Paper is made from trees. We need trees for oxygen, thus school is killing us. So to go back to the first example, if you don't know the fallacies, you won't pass your class. Then you'll end up broke. Then you'll end up homeless. Obviously, if you don't know your fallacies, most likely these last things won't happen to you. The next fallacy I'll talk about is the red herring, an irrelevant topic introduced in an argument to divert the attention of listeners or readers from the original issue. So this is a very common fallacy. You've probably used it in an argument. It's essentially baiting the reader into listening to something else and avoiding the argument altogether. So an example could be, when your mom gets the phone bill and you've gone over your limit, you begin talking to her about how hard your math class is and how well you did on the test today. Even though it has nothing to do with the phone bill, you're just hoping your mom ignores the phone bill and focuses on the test. So a circular argument restates the argument rather than actually proving it. So an example could be, George Bush is a good communicator because he speaks effectively. You'd think that by saying he's a good communicator, they would already know he speaks effectively. And I like this comic here that pretty much explains the circular argument really well. What is the key to success? Hire the right employees. How do you know you hired the right ones? You know because the business is successful. So the key to success is circular reasoning. Yes, because circular reasoning is the key. So the next fallacy would be the ad hominem fallacy. It's an attack on the character of a person rather than his or her opinions or arguments. This is definitely the most easy to recognize because I'm sure you see it in media, pop culture all the time. You can't trust that man because he looks like a snake. You obviously his looks have nothing to do with how much trust you could place in the man. And obviously calling the man a snake doesn't do anything for the argument. So the next fallacy would be the straw man fallacy. It oversimplifies an opponent's viewpoint and then attacks that hollow argument. So an example would be, people who don't support the proposed state minimum wage increase hate the poor. So obviously a person, if they don't support the minimum wage increase, it doesn't specifically mean they hate the poor. That's just a straw man. They're attacking nothing. And I guess that's it.